What you trying to do for real? For real.
Cosmic psychedelic funk is what I came to do.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Yours truly, Takara Nicole, aka the Identity Architect. Super excited that you're tuning in to, yes, another episode of What's the Real Deal with Takara Nicole. So today's guest is Janelle Askew. She is a phenomenal author, and I brought her here to share with all of you a little bit about her books. And so we're gonna just go ahead and dive in. So I wanna celebrate her as she is so phenomenal, and she is getting ready to publish and share her second work with the whole world. So we have none other than the one, the only, Janelle Askew. Hey girl, what's going on? Welcome to What's the Real Deal with Takara Nicole. It's here that we are just all the way real. We talk about things that people need to know to help them to just walk through life and just to embrace what they have going on. So Janelle, tell the people a little bit about who you are and what you got going on.
All righty. Well, my name is Janelle Askew, originally from Waco, Texas.
She always says that,
Originally from Waco, Texas. And I am a veteran. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter of the King. And I am here to just share my gifts, do what I'm purposed to do what I'm called to do. And that's why I'm here. Got my 2 books. Want to tell y'all about those things. And hopefully it will help you on your journey as you are walking through life, as you are going through these things that you are going through in life, but most primarily being used by God on how you do what you need to do for Him while you're here.
And that's so powerful. It's really important to understand who you are and whose you are. And authorship is such a beautiful journey. One who has I have my own consulting and publishing company. I've helped over 80 people to date, publish books. And it's such a journey to be able to help people connect the dots through authorship. And so let's talk about your vision for your first book and what that really looked like. So what a lot of people don't know when it comes to writing books, it really is a serious commitment. There's so many things that are going on that try to pull and distract you from actually honing in on writing that book. So with your first book, can you tell us a little bit about your first book and what inspired for you to write that book?
I can definitely do that. So my first book, first of all, I'm called to jail and prison ministry. That is where God called me to. So this whole vision that God gave me was just me simply doing what He had called me to do. And I was in the jail one day and we were speaking, and a young lady told me, she said, if God knows my plan, if God knows what's for me, why am I here? And that just sparked off a whole discussion about things.
Yeah.
And I was coming from Psalm 139. So I don't ever think that God does coincidences on anything.
No.
I think He always makes sure that He put us in alignment to hear what we need to hear so He can show us what we need to do when we're doing the things that we're doing.
Yeah.
And I went back home after that. And I sat down on my bed and I'm just listening for God, just listening to what He wants to tell me.
Yeah.
And this vision came, like I was watching Him put together a timeline of events in someone's life. And what He was showing me is from conception to the millisecond of when that person their life is over, their physical life is over. And He was showing me everything, Takara, from I explain it in the books, so many different paths. At first it looks like streets, and I'm like, God, what's all these streets and all this type of stuff? But He showed me that these were different paths of things. And then He was showing me how complicated life is. But the only way that I don't want to say the only way, it was like an Einstein type of, if you can envision like the chalkboard with Einstein equations.
Wow.
So if you don't even know math like that, if you're not even that type of genius, you're looking at it, you can't make sense of it. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, God, what is this? What is this? And then the equations start to turn into words, and it was like every sentiment, every thought, every idea, everything a person thinks of themselves, all this stuff was just written. And I'm like, wow. And God was showing me with that, Takara, that I know everything about you. I know everything that you're going to go through. I know what you're thinking when you're faced with things. I know what you're thinking and how your heart feels when you're going through things. Like, I know this. It may seem complicated to you, but to me, this is a light thing to me. I know all about it. I know all about it. So this is one way of how this, what he showed me. And I was working with a coach at the time. Because I was recently divorced. I was just finding what I was purposed to do. And I told her about this vision. She said, you need to write that. Because, you know, sometimes God will give you, it's not even sometimes, whatever God gives you is just not meant for you.
That's right.
It's not meant for you to keep it under wraps. It's not meant for you to be like, oh, I'm just going to share it with just a few people. No, it's meant for you to put it out there. Because that what he gave you was bigger than you.
Exactly.
Okay, that what he gave you. So I wrote the book exactly how God showed me how to do it. And this just brings me to the cover. This is exactly how I was, you know, just facing him. Like, it was just like, wow. Like, his back was turned toward me, and I just seeing all this. And I'm just like, God, you are so good for you to know everything about my life. You know, for you to know everything about my life.
Nothing missing, nothing lacking. Sometimes we have no clue on what God's doing, and it's just that faith walk. And I always, I'm visual, so I always equate the faith walk to, I don't remember which video it was, but Michael Jackson has a video where every step that he steps, it was illuminated on the sidewalk. And that resonates with me so much, because I realize how intentional of a God that we serve, and how we don't know why we go through what we go through. And I was on a call with one of my clients this morning, and she said that your pain produces products. She heard that from a sermon, and your pain produces products. So when we are walking through life, there's a lot of times where we don't understand the vision that God has laid in front of us. It is in front of us, and that's why it takes faith to really execute vision. And so we need to really tap into that, for those of us that are believers of God. To really understand our purpose and our calling and our assignments within the earth, and also in the kingdom, because what we do on the earth is done in the kingdom. And so it's really important to articulate our vision the way that we see it, because God sees it one way, and then he gives it to us another way, but he gives it to us in a way that we can understand it, because he's God. Like, it's really big. And what I love is that he gives it to us in bite-sized pieces. So if you could, what would you say to somebody that's out there that feels as if they are not in alignment with what God has for them, based on the different tribulations that they've gone through? What would you say to that person?
That is a good question. And you know, I want to back up before you saying that the steps are illuminated. There's a piece that God showed me, is that if he was to give you, right now, just listening to me, if he was to give you a printout of everything that's what's supposed to happen in your life, everything that's supposed to happen in your life, how would you feel about that? Like, how would you feel about it?
I probably would be a little ticked off. I would probably be a little embarrassed. I would probably be like, let me repent. I would probably be like, God, for real, are you serious? I'd probably be like, am I being punked right now? What's really going on?
Exactly.
So, yeah, no, I don't need that. Thank you, God, for not giving me that.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people think that they would want the printout, but the printout would cause you to really go on a path and a cycle that God doesn't want us to go down.
Exactly. And that's my point right there, because the main thing about this is what you're saying. This is a faith walk. This is a faith walk. Everything that we're doing, first of all, we are kingdom citizens. So we don't live by how the world lives. Everything is a faith walk, just like you're saying, Takara, faith to execute. Okay, so when he showed me that as well, like if he was to give you that printout, see the thing what we would do, because we like to be in control.
Say it
We
again.
like, the thing that we will do is we like to be in control. We'll see everything on there. I don't like that. I don't want that. I don't want to have to go through that. I don't want to have to experience that. So you'll do everything that you're going to do. You'll do everything that you're going to do to bypass that. But what we need to figure out, not even figure out, what we need to understand is that that is a part of your process.
Yeah.
That's a part of what you're going to face later down the road. So when you face that thing, you already went through something,
Right.
so you know how to do what you need to do while you're in that process.
Yeah.
And for someone who's out of alignment, and typically we're out of alignment with God because we're doing our own thing, because we want to be in control.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself being in control, I don't
Ooh,
care what
child.
God says. I'm gonna do what I want to do because this is what feels good. This is what I want to do. This
Yeah.
is what they told me to do. So I'm gonna do that. And God is like, is that the plan that I have for you?
That part.
Because that's not what I want for you.
Exactly.
Because the destiny that I have for you is going to require you to do what I'm asking you to do.
All of that, right.
It's going to require that.
It's going to require, and I think a lot of times when we think of a requirement, we think of that we're giving up something. There's a part of us that has to be sacrificed. There's a part of us that has to be changed. There's a part of us that we're going to lose because there's a requirement that God is after. And that's not always the case. And, you know, I believe that God places people like us on this earth as authors to be able to write our personal journey and story, to be able to share with the world, because a lot of people feel that they have to isolate themselves when they're going through things, and isolation is the enemy's playground.
Ooh, yes, it
It's
is.
the enemy's playground. He would love to keep you isolated, to be able to talk to you, and to be able to discourage you, and to be able to send you down pathways and cycles that really are that distraction. And so I'm thankful that you answered the call to authorship, because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, authorship is a beautiful journey. However, it's a lot, but it's a good a lot. You learn a lot about yourself, and it's such an amazing place to be able to understand how what God is taking you through can help somebody else. Because a lot of times we're like, well, God, you're taking me through this. Like, I thought you loved me. How is this a part of my process? How is this a part of who you called and created me to be? Do you still love me? Did you leave me in the wilderness to die? You know, like, all these things are going through our heads, and God's like, trust in me with all your heart and not lean to your own understanding, because I am directing your path. And Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, for those of you who might not have known the scripture that I somewhat quoted, it's one that continues to be that staple for me, to be able to help me to understand that I do have a call, I do have a gift. I can't lean to me. If I lean to me, I'm going to fall. I'm going to feel like I've lost, and that's not the case. So, Janelle, let's talk about this second book that you've birthed, because I talk about birthings when we talk about books, because books are babies. They really are, from conception to when we get them in the box to every time we sign one, I'm like, oh, my baby's going, oh, you know. So let's talk about your second book. And I met with Janelle probably about 2 months now, 2 months too long anyways. And I remember that she was wrapping it up. And so now to see her have the proof in hand, tell us the name of it and a little bit about it.
Yes, this is called Help, My Heart is Sick. It's toxic conditions of the heart, and it's the root of bitterness. And just like you were saying, you know, God, do you still love me? If this person hurt me, this person did these things to me.
Yeah.
This person made me feel this way. This person offended me.
Yeah.
There's no way. And we use these type of phrases to God. There's no way I can forgive this person because of what they did. And I talk about this in my book because I was married for 12 years. And a lot of my marriage was it wasn't as many happy times as there was of sad times. There were more sad than happy times. And that's something me and my ex-husband, we still talk about every now and then, because it was a lot. It was a lot of what I went through, but there was a lot of unforgiveness. And that unforgiveness turned into resentment.
Ooh.
And that resentment turned into bitterness.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't careful, it would have turned into hate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one day, God, I was asleep. Of course, I was in a dream, and God showed me I was on my back pulling this root out my heart, and I could not get it out, and it was thick, it was strong, and I'm just like this. I'm just like pulling it, and then I hear the Lord tell me, "You can't get that out by yourself. You need me." That's what he said. You can't get it out by yourself. You need me. Because what we like to do, we don't want to go by what God tells us to do. We want to do it on our own.
Yes.
And when we're doing stuff on our own, we're just prolonging everything.
Yeah.
Because when you try to do it your way to a person, not a person, but to God who knows your destiny, who knows everything about you.
Yeah.
You know, he'll be there with you, but when are you going to relinquish that control? When are you going to let go? Okay.
Okay, that's a whole nother show for a whole nother time, Janelle. Just relinquishing control.
Just relinquish.
So, as you were going through this process of writing this book, because writing a book is a process, it's not just, I'm going to sit down and write this book. This is so funny. I had client calls this morning, and each client I was talking to, I was reminding them that a book takes you down a journey. It's a process, and what it does, especially from a non-fictional standpoint, you are reliving some of the things that you've gone through because you have to now write about it. And sometimes, if you're not careful, going back, you may get stuck, or going back, you might trip up. You might, have those moments where I hear you, God, you're tussling and tangling when God's like, that season's over.
Oh, that's good.
I just want you to go back to move forward. I just want you to grab this one piece to be able to help you with your writing journey for that person who really needs what you have. And so I'm excited for people to read this book, because a lot of people have heartache and they don't know the root of it. And a lot of times it comes from the bad relationships, or your childhood, or the things that you, God, I hear you clearly, the things that you've buried. There's a lot of things that we've buried that are the root of why we cannot move forward. And so, as you were writing this book, share some of the things that were coming up, and how did you overcome them so you didn't get stuck? Because we are a product of the books that we write.
Right. The main thing, I don't know about y'all, but I've been cheated on before, numerous of times.
Yeah.
And that is, that's so easy to cause a root of unforgiveness.
Shush.
Period. Like, you don't want to let this person get away with what they did. You just don't.
Yeah.
But how you do that, though, because, typically some of us will just go, well, let me do the same thing that person did to me. That also will bring heartache to you, because you're just going out here just doing whatever to get back at somebody.
Yeah.
But what we do when we are cheated on, when we are hurt, and I even talk about those things like molestation.
Yeah.
People that have killed your loved ones, people that have hurt you in a way where it's not a way for you to see, how can I let this thing go?
Yeah.
And what I write about is all those things that I went through: molestation, cheating, okay, people, saying that they're my friends and betraying me. I went through these things, but what God told me when I answered that call, you cannot answer a call with all that stuff in your heart. You got to let that go. And in order for me to have moved forward and live this abundant life that God has for us, I had to let that stuff go. I had to let go of the idea of wanting to get somebody back for what they did to me.
That part.
Because vengeance, it will never be mine. It's the Lord's. That's what he said.
That's what he
and
says.
Whatever I can do, it ain't going to be nowhere near what God can do.
No.
So that's why, you got to let that stuff go. And I know it's easier said than done. When we hear that, some of us take offense to that.
Yeah.
You know, like, how can you say this? Like, he killed my son. He killed my daughter.
Right.
They did this to me. They had children, all that type of stuff on me. And I'm telling you, let God handle that piece for you. Let God handle that piece as he heals your heart.
Yes.
Because, you know, think about all these things that are lined up for you that you can possibly never get to because of your refusal to let go.
Say that again.
Just know of these things that are lined up for you.
Yeah.
That you will probably never get to because
Right.
of your refusal to let go.
Sheesh.
We have one life on this earth.
That's it.
And none of us should be going to our grave with all that hate and resentment and unforgiveness and bitterness that's in our heart. Like, what type of life are you living when you're living like that?
You're not living it at all. And
Yeah.
that's the thing is we don't understand at times that yes, we're waking up every day. Yes, we're taking advantage of our 24 hours or 168 hours in a week. But if we really were to sit down and take account for what we're doing, are we really living a life that's intentional, or are we just being busy? And a lot of people are busy because they don't want to deal with the hurt. They don't want to deal with who they really are. They don't want to deal with life.
Right.
And when you don't want to deal with life, you are actually missing out on life. And 2018 was the year that I realized that I had to do something different. And that's when I came out with one of my books. And it really showed me how we are created and purposed to live a fruitful life every day, or what my brand, Dope, directed on purpose every day. We are directed on purpose every day. Every single day, there's something that we're supposed to be learning. There's things that we're supposed to be achieving. There's things that we're supposed to be doing to move us forward. We are not called and created to live a stagnant life. We choose to live stagnant when we don't do what God is telling us to do. When you live a life of obedience, you are reaping the fruits of what he told you and who he created you to be. When you are walking in obedience, doors open. When you are walking in obedience, you reign in favor. It's when you walk in obedience, there's times of tribulations, but there's always the calming to the storm, and God always reveals who he is. So it's just, man, people have to understand that having a vision for your life is huge. That's her first book, you guys, talking about vision. And in order to execute vision, you have to do that deep root work within your heart to make sure that you're not operating out of bitterness, that you're not operating out of resentment. And you know, you're right, we have this tendency to want to get people back. And it's like, no, for what? I can't.
Right.
I can't do nothing. I'm not that powerful. Like, we powerful, you know, but we ain't that big that we can just, I'm gonna get you back.
Right.
That's too much energy.
Too much.
So, Janelle, what's next for you?
Well, I'm already working on another book too, and it's co-parenting, y'all. Okay, because you know how many people need help with co-parenting.
Yes.
Because again, just going back to the second book, is there's a lot of bitterness still, and you won't co-parent.
Oh, it's so good.
So I'm taking. This is what God has told me to do. Whatever I have taught you, teach it to somebody else.
Yes.
I'm real big on people just using what God has given you.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think things are so insignificant where, oh, you know, God taught me this, he brought me from this, but nobody wants to hear this. There is somebody listening for you.
Always.
There's somebody asking God for confirmation.
Yes.
Asking God for, hey, I need an answer prayer.
Yes.
And God can use you. Use
Yes.
your story. Use your gifts. Use whatever he's purposed and called you to do to get that answer, get that confirmation to people. So that's going to be my next book. I'm almost done with it too. Because when God just, you know, when he gets you going on what you are purposed to do, there's a speed to things.
Yeah.
And what you're saying also, if you're waking up and you stagnant, you're not doing what you purposed to do. We can't do that. We can't know that we have all these things that God is calling us to do, and we're just sitting on it.
Co-parenting.
Co-parenting.
Listen, you guys heard it here first that Janelle's next book is going to be talking about co-parenting, which I know that a lot of you out here can use, because there's there's no manual to parenting, and co-parenting, I can only imagine being difficult. I've seen it from the outside, not myself because I'm not a mom officially, but I definitely understand that co-parenting is definitely a challenge. So with us wrapping up the show, Janelle, give the people about 60 seconds. What would you share?
This is what I would share. First and foremost, if you're still here, God still has purpose for you. That's the number one thing. A lot of us sometimes feel that, and this comes off a comparison. You're watching everybody else and then you're comparing their life to yours.
Yeah.
When God has a specific and unique plan for you already. So there's a purpose for your life. There's a purpose for you being here. And the way to know what that is to seek the one who created you. Seek him for what you are to do, what you are to share, what gifts that you have, what atmospheres or environments that you should be in. So I will leave you with that, knowing that you have your own journey to walk. So never compare your journey to anybody else. Never compare it.
Never.
Because yours is going to be different. It's going to be different, period.
And that's so good. Thank you for that. Because, you know, one of the things that I definitely can come aside, everything what you just said, but the one thing that's really important, and it's one of the reasons why I created this show. One, God told me to, but two, I called it "What's the Real Deal with Takara Nicole?" Not just because it rings, but because it's very important for us to understand who we are. What's the real deal with us? There's so much that we could focus on with reality TV and things of that nature, that things that are not real. But the real deal is really important because it's the real deal that helps other people ignite with what's real inside of them that they might need to work on, something that they see but they're not executing. So this show is to really bring you guys amazing people like Janelle Askew who can help you understand who you are through reading her books. So really quick before we head out, where can people find your books?
Okay. People can find my books on Amazon. Just type in my name, Janelle Askew, Askew. And you can also find me on Instagram at miss.janelle, Janelle, Askew, Askew. So miss.janelle Askew.
Boom! Just like that. What's the real deal with Takara Nicole? We enjoyed the fact that you were tuning into this show, and see you next week, and we're out.
What you trying to do for real? For real. Cosmic psychedelic funk is what I came to do. Yep.